Hey mommy, them call me the goat. Hey mommy, we put the car in a spout. Bad bitch, all guns all bout. She want it, no more no bad.
So Masicka released his latest single, La Cabra. La Cabra. La Cobra. Right? And people be tell you the song is causing a bag of ruckus. You know what I mean? Um, between dancehall fans. You know what I mean? So you have people who say Masicka, he's not, the GOAT yet, you know. You still have more years to put in, still have more work to put in. Some people that say Masicka is not the GOAT because he ain't surpass certain artists or artists in dancehall, and we don't, and I don't mean surpass them actually by like doing numbers or just you know just releasing a lot of songs, and all of these things is with these songs going, what it's doing for the artists and all these things, right? And that impact, right? That cultural shift that the artist can cause, when it comes to dancehall, music. So this single Masicka release, right? La Cobra, La Cabra. It's and a statement he's making. He's saying, he's the GOAT, right? Like I said, a lot of people is not agreeing with Masicka right now, but you don't know the Crux fans and them have dancehall fans and who feel say, Masicka, he has arrived and he has the right, which if you ask me, Masicka do have the right to claim GOAT status. You know what I mean? It's not like he is the GOAT, but he's claiming it. It's an ambitious thing to do. It tells that he, believe in himself, you know, and he's willing to, go to any lengths to defend, his career, his musical career, right? So by releasing this single now, it's gonna cause people to talk because what Masicka is doing, he's basically stirring up, confusion. Now, if you, cause I look up the word, the title, why Masicka titled the song, why did he title the song La Cobra, why did he title the song La Cobra? So I went and looked up, the meaning, or tried to see the definition of the word, and this one stood out to me. This one stood out to me. Um, and as you guys can see, it says cult to determine which La Cobra you are looking for, right? So it's saying cult in like what you believe in, or with these people, this La Cobra, cult, right? And the character, right, behind the cult, right? Because it says here are the different contexts, right, or contexts for La Cobra. Now this one stood out to me, like I said, right, because it says a villain, right, and you all know what a villain is. A villain is like an outcast. You know what I mean? The black sheep of the family. Or as Masicka would say, the black goat, of the family, or the black goat of dancehall, right? So that it's showing you, right? This one that stood out to me, a villain, La Cobra, is an antagonist. What? Antagonist. Oh, he's La Cobra is an attack, and he's an antagonist from an old television show and comic, a supervillain who wants to cause trouble and steal from the city. So it's telling you this villain, right? La Cobra was from an old television show or a comic, right? And La Cobra is he's an antagonist, right? Meaning, I guess you like to start trouble, you like to stir up things. You want to cause mischief, right? He's antagonizing people. Um, either whether by trying to get the attention, by I guess any means necessary. All right, but it said he's also a super villain, so he's he's not just a villain. He's a super villain. All right, and he wants to cause trouble. Like I said, stir up. Yeah, and steal from the city. Now I could see, well, Alkaline have a single call, city, where Alkaline is taking shots uh, at Vibes Cartel and, whoever at the time in dancehall that Alkaline was talking about, right? But in the single what Alkaline released, City, like I said, Alkaline was making bold statements. He's saying, like, we lock the city, we run the place, this is our grounds, whatever. So when I look up the meaning or one of the definition of the word, I was like, oh, okay. So Masicka is trying to stir up, some trouble. He's trying to start, that's why, I would ask Masicka if he, because this is what the artists they do. They put out these singles, they throw their little subliminals, they title the song, a certain way. So I guess if the fans they're smart enough, they could figure out, well, okay, what's Masicka about here? You know what I mean? So the single is to do just that, to stir up and cause trouble, cause mischief. You know what I mean? And then steal, I guess, some funds from the Gaza nation, from the unruly side, from the vendetta side, from the gully side, from just steal some funds from you know all of the dance or the rest of the dance artists, then by proclaiming, I guess Masicka is saying he's the super villain. So, he's taking a shot right now, make the whole of them know, say, well, you know. But I don't see how Masicka is really the villain in dancehall, I really don't see it. But I mean, that's what he's saying, because that's what people are saying. People are saying, well, Alkaline is more like a villain to you than you, Masicka, because it seems like the whole of dancehall work with Masicka at one point. Him said Gaza genocide when Movado and Alkaline released the single. So it's not no Masicka has been throwing shots at Alkaline, or they been going back and forth. Matter of fact, they've been doing it for years, right? But what I'm saying is, when Alkaline and Movado would link up, right, they did the single the whole of them dead to me, right? What was the single? Farewell or something. It was Farewell. Something like, I can't remember the single, verbatim right now. But when Alkaline and Vado did the single, right? Masicka, when he did the single with Vibes Cartel, the infrared single, right? He said he hears some pussy talk about Gully vendetta, a Gaza genocide. So if you understand what I'm saying, it boosts Masicka, because the people them say, well, yo, Masicka seems like, you know what I mean? 'Cause we have Gully vendetta over there. And, it's not like, well, Vibes Cartel to try before. It's who? We squash them. Vibes Cartel, him did a go on with the thing, but you know, and try use some other young artists by collaborating with them on the song. When you listen to some of the songs, them it's like they taking shots, at Alkaline and Movado at the time. You know what I mean? So that's how we really got some clashes in dance with Alkaline and certain artists. Some people might not know the backstory, but this is how most of these fallout, or people whatever, disagreeing with each other or picking sides and choose sides, and the politics how we go. So this is one of the things that caused eruption in a dance album. Movado and Alkaline had link up and said Goli Vendetta. You know what I mean? So why at that time the dance all the well-worn people, not like, but that's how Masicka came out and made the statement with when he said some pussy attack about Goli Vendetta, Gaza genocide. And he and Vibes Cartel did their single Infrared. So at one point Masicka was about to join his link. Well, he did link his or affiliate himself with Vibes Cartel, as him said Gaza genocide, just like how a lot of people dance off and look at Movado and Alkaline at one point, Gully Vendetta, and then Jamil joined after, and then it was MVP, and that was a different thing too in dancehall, because at that point that man did it a burn up the place same way, and a lot of people, right, wanted them to disperse. Like, I don't understand how people preach for unity, and when we see artists link up and doing certain thing on a level, it's like the very people them we try to cause rupture amongst the artists then, because I guess sometimes idols do become rivals, but sometimes is it necessary? you know is it necessary? And if some of these clash or beef, or sometime when the artists they going back and forth with each other, does it really make sense? you know so it's all them things you have to look at more time. But it was kind of interesting to me, the title of the song that Masicka chose, La Cobra. And like I said, looking up one of the meaning of the definition is saying that he's an antagonizes, and he's a super villain, you know, trying to cause trouble, and like I said, steal from the city. So I can see why Vendetta fans might be like, oh, they take that. Oh, you trying to cause trouble, what I mean? But why may I tell you? It's like leading up to a good boxing match. Before the fight, you got to do the weigh-in and the this and the media and all these things. They people trash talking each other, right? That's basically that's all. You know, it's like it's leading up to something people want to see. One more time, you know, we don't, it don't happen, but it is what it is. Sometimes it do happen, but are we gonna get that fight, or are we gonna get that match, between certain artists, or certain artists versus certain artists, Alkaline versus a Masicka versus Alkaline, a Masicka versus a Vibes. Well, Vibes Cartel say him out to this right now. So, Gaza fans no disrespect, but one artist say he hang up his belt, or his crown. Even though he ain't too long, got crown. It wasn't long ago before he got crown. So, or we can hang it up already. That's why Masicka and them artists right now, I guess, is claiming gold status and these things, because Vibes Cartel basically hung up the crown. He might be in the gold back then to Masicka, like in your era. He was the greatest of all time, but right now we here, or I'm here. So, Masicka is just making his claims and saying, he's the GOAT. An ambitious thing to do, self-confidence, all these things. But it's up to the people them at the end of the day. You know, to say whether Masicka is the the goat in dancehall right now, or whatever the case may be, or if he's gonna go down as one of the goats, because they have a lot of goats. They have a lot of greatest of all times. You know what I mean? But at one point it was the God MC. So, because back then when you listening to, especially if you used to listen to hip hop back, in the 80s or the 90s, right, coming on up to the 2000s, it was a conscious, and it had a message, and it was something that was there for artists to prove they skills, showcase their talent. You know what I mean? And a lot of people just infiltrated because they see it was profitable, and this is where we are today. But back then, with music starters, it was always competitive. That's what I'm saying. It's like building up to a good fight, but you can't get a fight. It's like they talk a lot of trash talk when they're outside the ring, but when it's time for the dancehall fans, them get a showdown or some competition, it's like it's not there. And it's only certain artists willing to go to that, to that level there to compete. So we just have to wait and see. Masicka single though, La Cobra, like I said, this is what I got from it. Masicka is trying to stir up, and I like the single. Hey, mommy, them call me to go. Make you laugh, but in your throat. Hey, mommy, what I'm talking about? I like that retro thing, the whole Hispanic, settings and everything. Yeah, man. And then Masicka change up his flow. I understand it's like he responding to the critics. People that saying he have one flow and all these things. So, like I said, Masicka know exactly what he's doing right now with this single. Actually, I like the single. I'm not gonna lie. It has that little, Spanish vibes, like where it could cross over into the Spanish market, or the international market, I should say. But yeah, it's a nice song. I like the video, everything, up to me. But it's just Masicka, like I said, man, trying to stir up some mischief, some trouble in the dance and keep the thing, I guess entertaining to a certain level. But is we gonna get any confrontation between the artists then? The Masicka, the Popcorns, the Alkalines, the Vibes Cartel, the Movados, the Idonias, Why I mean, know. But anyway, people, that's my, 2 cents. That's my take. That's my thoughts on Masicka new single, La Cobra. I listened to the single. I thought it was a nice song. Overall, I just thought it was a nice song. But these artists, especially in dancehall, put a lot of subliminals when they put out girl songs, or just the overall badman, single. And this single is definitely, to me, listening to it, just a badman song, right? Or one of them tough tune there, where you could listen, same way, and they have that mellow vibes, to it. But if you listen to what Masicka is saying, he's taking, some jabs, or, definitely firing some shots, But the title of the single should, speak for itself, La Cobra.
No more no bad like sicker. You want die liquor. The friend of my boss at the ganja chicken. Gonna live from every man, I finger and down with ya. Anyway you get it from man target. So me empty the clip and not panda miss ya.